Wow. What a week. What a week. What a week. Honestly, it's been a hell of a week. Composer launch on Joyn, and the reception from people who have used it so far has been amazing. All pretty much all the content that has been released is just performing exceptionally well. Uh, Quickly here. I'm with our co-host. We're live exclusively on YouTube and X. Our first ever live stream. And really quickly, I am Miguel, the marketing lead at Joyn. I've been doing blockchain Web3 marketing since 2017. I worked at companies like Cadena. I was at crypto exchange Gemini. I've done NFT marketing, NFT gateway. So yeah, I've been around the block. I've been here for a while, but I'll hand it over to my co-host, and we'll get the conversation started.
Oh my gosh. Hi, everybody. My name is Andrea. For those who don't know, I'm a multidisciplinary artist. I've been in the NFT space now since 2021. I created intuitive AI composites. I've been featured in many galleries and exhibits all over the world. I've been a part of Joyn since its inception, and it's just been such a wild ride seeing where we were from the beginning to now. It's been a very wholesome journey, and I'm very proud of the Joyn team.
I'm super stoked to be here. The composer has been amazing. Just in the last week, I've been sort of using it and jumping off with it, and so I'm just stoked about it. To be here chatting about it as well. For those who don't know, I'm a longtime artist. I've been working with traditional mediums for a really long time, all different types of things, and recently in the last year or two, working with AI collaboratively. And I've curated shows in this space, and I've been in international exhibitions and galleries and events and all kinds of craziness that I never thought I'd ever do, which is amazing. And as I said, just recently in the last week or so, been working with the composer features that we're going to talk about here today with the first ever group drop that we had on Joyn with the Zeitgeist show using all the new composer features. So I've been super intimate with everything and being able to get everything set up and working with it and figuring out how things work and just utilizing it to the best ability to add value to the space. So yeah, I'm super stoked to be here and appreciate it.
We pulled Black out of the depths of the metaverse. He's here live on stream, so we're excited to have Black, and of course Andrew Khan and Palette. Really quickly though, I do want to say hello to all of you watching us live right now on YouTube. I see you. Let's say hello, Paladin Pugs. Hello, how's it going? Neo, love it, love it. Love Composer, Tell a Story, and Salar all in one place. That's the goal. That's the goal. Joyn, Composer, really excited. We're only a week in, which is crazy. I feel like it's been an eternity. A lot has been happening with our launch partners. Again, shout out to our launch partners. There's some of us with us here today. We'll be bringing them on later on in the live stream to talk about some of the content they've created. Black just mentioned Zeitgeist. There are a few more, of course, that we'll kind of be digging into. Really quickly, run a show. We're going to talk about Composer. We're going to showcase Composer. It's all about Composer for this, our first live stream. And then we actually have Michael, co-founder of Joyn. We're going to transition him to really quickly. But I do also want to say that if you're watching us on YouTube and X, leave your posts on X, leave your comments on YouTube. We'll be highlighting all of you as we kind of progress through the live stream. And then also, if you're watching us in the future, hello, future people. You're watching the repeat, the reshow of the live stream. Thank you again for taking the time to watching us. Leave your comments, repost, reshare. We really appreciate it. And for sure, we'll be back to in future live streams, and we'll keep the conversation going about new updates on Joyn and etc. But all right, we're done. We're done kind of introducing ourselves, and we got the jitters out of being on screen on Joyn for our live stream. We're gonna hand it over to Michael. He's gonna have a message for us and the live stream and everybody watching. So we're excited to shoot that over to him, and we'll be right back.
Well, hello. Happy to be here. Thank you, team, for organizing this live stream. It's first of many, and I'm pretty excited about this format. So, in the spirit of our first live stream, I think it would be a good time to share again how we got started and a little bit about where we're going as well. So, a little bit of a flashback back to, I think, late 2020. So, that's when I think we saw a lot of newfound interest from artists and builders coming into the space. So I'm not going to repeat these things that a lot of us have heard about, but pretty much a lot of us were deeply touched by how beautiful it is to see, builders, artists, people from different backgrounds meet each other and collaborate and learn about each other's domain. So we started originally as a community, really, for people like that to share resources and help each other onboard into the space. And the thing is, not just ourselves, but everyone else in the space, we soon realized that things can get pretty overwhelming at times. Just so much to learn, calls for a lot of risk taking and experiments, and not everybody is starting off equipped the same way. So, and also personally, I believe that an ecosystem that only produces, the top 1% of winners and only focus on them is not really a civilized ecosystem. So it became very clear that we have to provide artists and builders the right resources so people can have at least a fair shot at experimenting their way forward. So at that time, we started paying closer attention to specific problems that people would talk about. So one big thing that came up all the time was, trouble getting the work seen by collectors. Another major issue was gas fee being very expensive, right? We still have some problems like that right now, but back then, for anyone to mint and list on a major marketplace, it was easily $100 $100 a pop, or even more sometimes. So we started running community programs like, gas fee sponsorships, like directly sponsoring the gas fee to mint and list. And we have programs like community curations, and these are all were self-funded and with the goal of offering more opportunities to those who put in the effort. So the methods were very direct, and sometimes you could consider them crude. But the space, right, we think the space had no shortage of promises, and we just really wanted to deliver impact immediately. So that's how we got started. And then eventually those evolved into open calls. Open calls are really us working with partners like galleries, conferences, brands, collectors, and even other artists to move their curation process into the open. So these in turn become opportunities that anyone can access, right? So instead of the default way of private networks, like knowing the right people, say the right things, we wanted to make these opportunities. We want to give them to everyone, so they have a fair shot at accessing them. And to this day, proud to say that we facilitated over 500 open calls. We've collected over 180,000 submissions, which is a tremendous achievement for the team and everyone involved. So really appreciative of the team, really appreciative of all the support we've received from the community so far. And so now that we have a platform with open calls launching recurrently, which actually I think we just reached an all-time high with the amount of live open calls yesterday. But anyway, so now that we have a platform, I think we need to look forward a little bit, which is what we've been doing for the past 6 months. So eventually we want to turn this platform into not just a platform for opportunities, but a reliable platform of tooling that you can return to that can help you cover the fundamentals. So with this Composer launch, we're one step closer to hitting that goal. So with this launch, now through the Composer, you'll be able to organize open call yourself, curate showcases for like solo or group drops, and compose a story, which is long form content with any on or off chain media. So it's a really powerful combination for anyone to get started, and which I think speaks to like our mission, which is to empower artists, creators at scale. I'm pretty excited. I'm not going to go into detail how the Composer works because our team members will cover, and some of our partners will be happy to share the cases. They deserve the spotlight. But yeah, so one last thing is I'm very grateful to all the support that we've had so far. The space has been very difficult to navigate. I'm sure we've seen, projects and teams go sideways. And for us, we've been very fortunate to be able to navigate with consistency and organic growth. And it's a testament to our original vision and also our culture and people who are involved who have their hearts in the right place. So yeah, very, very grateful and excited to see what the next steps will be like. All right, so going to pass the stage back to the team.
That's Michael. Some exciting stuff. The beginning of Joyn, and the journey to where we are now, for sure. I think the future for sure is very bright. A lot more kind of things to look forward to as we continue to build on the foundation of Composer. Uh, we're gonna have our product lead Ev in a second join us. But I think it is a good chance to kind of reflect over where we're at now. I think it has been really, really, really fortunate to kind of have joined a team at the time that a lot of progress was being made, from going from exclusively open calls to now, solo drop showcases, stories, and all the content is going to be created with Composer. And I know Black and Andrea have been here, if not longer than I have, where so they'll have a little bit more to kind of say on this.
Yeah, I mean, seeing the progression from, again, I mentioned from the beginning, from, where we started. And I love that Michael gave a little backstory for those who, before Joyn, giving a backstory as to how we kind of progressed to this point. And it's just been so heartwarming to see that our values, our vision is still intact. It's still there. It's very much there. And everyone who even started, who were supporters from the beginning, also see that. And I think that is really huge. And getting up to this point now with Composer, it's a huge milestone. And like I said, I'm just so proud of the team. And I know there's going to be so many more new, amazing, exciting things to come.
And Joyn has been a group that has always been prevalent this entire time that I've been here. Like, it was something that I came across probably within the first month or two of even being in this space. And I've always seen Joyn as being, artist first, art centric. Where in a lot of other platforms, or I mean, now guess I could say Joyn's one of the marketplaces to a certain degree. I think that there's a lot of the perspective is just completely different. And I've seen that with all the open calls, and it's very community led, and everything just has this ability to tap on or tap into like completely different ecosystems and different communities, and be able to rise up other artists from different spaces. And it just kind of creates kind of like a level playing field for everyone to be able to utilize, and also just like kind of empower creativity. So it's just amazing. I've been so grateful to be able to work with the team here the last, I mean, it's been like almost like 6 months, which is kind of crazy. And it's just been amazing to see the growth and just the overall kind of exponential value add that the platforms, especially now, being able to give it to the environment, the overall kind of artist community in the space.
100%. 100%. We see you. I see you guys on YouTube. I see you guys on X. Thanks to Alex, our partnership lead, left a beautiful GIF and on the X post. I see you, Philosopher, also. Let's go. I appreciate that. We also see Chris over here in YouTube. Good to see you all. Good to see you too. We appreciate all of our watchers right now. If you're liking the show, of course, give it a repost, share the link. We're excited. We'll keep highlighting all of you as we kind of progress to the live stream. But now's the perfect chance. We're gonna bring up Ev, and we're really gonna see the capabilities of Composer. So excited to kind of see that. So we'll be right back, and we'll be back with Ev.
GM,
Hello,
everyone.
hello.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. It's going good. I think it's been fantastic to see the turnout. We have people watching, and we'll kind of keep showing composers. So that's kind of we're excited to have Evan, product lead at Joyn. He's gonna really show us the power of composing.
Yeah, GM everybody. Thanks for having me. I'm Ev, or Ev Builds on Twitter. You may have seen me there. But yeah, I'm the product lead at Joyn, and I sort of helped kind of build out this composer product. And yeah, I'm excited to show some of the ins and outs of the product itself, and highlight sort of like some of the differences and things that we've built out here. So I'm going to do a quick screen share, and y'all can walk through with me live. Hang tight just one sec. Bear with me.
We're good. We're
Right,
good.
there we go. Here we go. So yeah, so I'm going to start by going through just do like a little intro on Joyn as a product. I don't know that everybody that's watching has seen everything that we've done and what we do in the space. We're primarily focused, or have been focused historically, on open calls and sort of providing opportunities, as the other folks have mentioned. So going to the joyn.xyz homepage, you're going to see a lot about open calls. But we've now started to sort of tease out these new formats of publishing and creating work, which we can sum up as two things really. So with the composer, you can now build showcases and stories. And I'm just going to give two examples of what these look like published right now. So a story, this is a story that actually Andrea, Crown and Palette, wrote on another artist. It was an interview with another artist. And this sort of just highlights how you can create long form written content with on-chain assets. So, there's a lot of tools for writing out there, but there's not a lot of tools for writing long form content out there with on-chain images. And so we built this tool to be really flexible. We've seen people use it for everything from artist interviews to art critiques or reviews. Sometimes it's a great way to write about an event that happened and feature the artists and art that came out of that event. And so it's a really, really flexible tool to sort of just, either write blogs, publications, etc. And so we're really excited to see like what people want to do with this tool over time. Again, really the main focus right now has been a lot around like interviews and written content like that. But this can extend further and further out. We have a lot of ideas for where this story format will go long term. And then I just want to quickly show a example. Actually, this is from Blackstrop, who's up on stage. So
Let's
Black
go.
let's go. So Black and 30, I think it was 32, 33 other artists all came together to do a group drop. And this will be, very similar to some of the curation tools that are currently in market. But again, we sort of leaned into the customization of things and tried to make it a little bit easier for artists and curators to tell stories and sort of like create more immersive experiences. So this is just an example of a group drop that Black did, 33, I think, pieces total. What's cool about the composer is you can add both one-of-ones and one-of-ones and additions. So 721 and 1155 tokens. And really, like, we don't care where people mint. We're contract agnostic. We don't really care where the piece came from. We just kind of become the listing, or like the marketplace for that piece itself. So all of these artists minted, some minted on manifold contracts, some minted on potentially even transient contracts. Black actually did a phenomenal piece, by the way, that was all HTML. And so we're really like, we're not trying to get you to mint on Joyn, although we do have some mint capabilities. We just want to be the best place for you to display and come together and sell art. And so this is an example of that drop. I'm going to show the back end of that a little bit here, and I'm going to use an example of my drop that I did yesterday. So this is not shilling. I'm sorry. Just an easy way to give an example of how you can use this to both curate group drops with a bunch of artists, but also solo drops. So this is just a solo drop from me, and given like the flexibility of the composer and the showcase template, I was able to sort of tell a story about this collection that is very personal to me, and I didn't really think about how I should talk about this, but it is a very personal collection to me, and I got to lay it out in a format that I thought really fit the art. So it's almost as if it's a curation of sorts. I have different quotes called out here. I've got even off-chain images, again, because you can add off-chain images, it's easier to sort of get your vision across. So let's jump in and just take a quick look at what this looks like on the back end. So for any artist or curator that has access to the composer, this is the page that you're going to see to get started. Eventually, like this will grow, and we'll create more templates and more things that artists can do in here. We have a ton of ideas, but these sort of two formats, the showcase and the story, we wanted to start with those first. And so I'm going to go ahead and click a showcase here, and I can either add this to my profile or I can add it to a space. And so lots of our partners out there, like Michael mentioned, we work with a ton of partners, galleries, brands, to run open calls, and a lot of them will have their own space on Joyn where they can come together and create those open calls. But right now, I'm just going to go as a single player artist, and I'm going to go ahead and add this to my profile. And so you're kind of met with a blank canvas here. And we wanted to make this sort of like similar to site building that we kind of all know from like, Wix or Squarespace, or all these like, these page builder tools that are really just easy drag and drop and visual. And so you kind of get a blank canvas in here, and you've got a couple different tabs that I want to go through. So this first tab that I'm on is the pieces tab. And so I've got everything I've created here. I've got things that I've liked on Joyn. I've got anything that I own, so any of the tokens that are in my wallet. And then I have a way to search for NFTs, and I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. Quickly, I want to highlight the earnings tab. So this is a simple way to add a curator fee to your showcase. So again, if I'm doing a group drop, I'd come in here as the curator, add a curator fee, add my wallet, and then any of the sales, I'll be able to take a percentage of that sale, and it'll go directly to the wallet that I add. And then the final thing here is settings. So you can add a custom domain name or a custom URL to your showcase. You can adjust the visibility, and then you can switch between light and dark mode. And so you can see sort of the clear difference between my drop. This is light mode. I just thought it fit the work better. And you can see on Black's drop here, this is full dark mode. So just giving some artists, some option to artists and curators, and over time we'll continue to add to that. We'll continue to make it more customizable. But yeah, so if I want to create a drop, let's say I want to do a solo drop on my own. It's simple. If I've minted the tokens, let's say I minted them on Manifold, or a foundation contract that I own, or transient, you name it, doesn't really matter. You can start dragging and dropping those pieces from your wallet directly in here. And so we're going to sort of take care of the formatting for you. So any of these rows that get two pieces, they're going to be treated as if they have two pieces. So there'd be just two pieces here. And then if I drag one piece into a row, it's going to highlight that piece a little bit bigger. And we're thinking of ways to sort of continue this customization over time. But yeah, the whole goal is to make it really flexible on how you display the work. You can add text in here. So again, this is great for like curator notes, like I did in my drop, adding quotes, but you have full formatting here, and you can also add off-chain images, like I mentioned in my drop. So a couple artists that I'm working on their showcases with in the background right now are using the off-chain images to help explain process, or explain like the medium itself, maybe show sort of like before and after, work in progress. the idea is that it's really flexible for you. And so one thing that I wanted to mention is, so like these are pieces from myself, but if I want to add pieces from other artists, it's really simple to do so. So all you need is an OpenSea link, or even the token details. So you need either an OpenSea link, manifold link. We don't yet parse foundation links; those are a little bit trickier. Super rare is a bit trickier. So you can search by token, by contract address and token ID. But I'm just going to go ahead and paste a OpenSea link in here to a piece by. Oh, that didn't show up. My bad. But anyway, so I can pull up a token from any artist that's out there, and I can drag that piece in. And what's really cool is the artists themselves are going to get what we call a collab request. So you can see here, I have a listing request on this piece that I own for this showcase, and it's asking to take a 4.2% curator fee. So as an artist, it's really simple for you to manage the collab request that you get. Your work can be added to multiple galleries at once, and you can list the piece. You can decide which gallery you want to list it in. If you have editions, you can list multiple editions in multiple showcases. And so just giving like a ton of flexibility to artists, and then kind of keeping it really high level of what they need to come in and do. So I can go through and list, I can add a price, I can choose the showcase that it's going to go in, and then it's just as simple as listing it. And we do gasless listing on Joyn. So it's really, really affordable. And and so that's generally the back end of things. I mean, I could go into more depth, but I think I'll keep it a little high level for today. And if anybody that's watching wants to get toured through the product personally, I'm happy to jump on a call and go through it with you. And we are currently sort of slowly accepting new artists and curators to the composer. So I'll stop there and see if there's any questions from anybody either in the audience or on stage. And maybe I'll stop sharing my screen there.
So we're we're blessed that we have John and we have Michael and Lena who are hopped into the YouTube chat answering questions for us. One of the original questions that we actually got was from Neil: can videos be embedded in Composer? Is there a size limit? And of course, our John, we can embed YouTube videos currently in GIFs. But yeah, I think the being able to customize your story and your showcase with dark and light mode, and it fitting kind of the vibe of your art, I think was a fantastic add into Composer. You see it in the differences between Zeitgeist and Cellscapes, and just like any kind of the other ones that have been created so far. It's a vibe. And really, really strong showing from our launch partners, who a few of them are with us today, but we'll get to them shortly. But yeah, I think it's really impressive. I think also I showed a comment from Courtney, who's in the chat. She said, love the gasless minting. Another one from, again, Palette and Punks, cool pixel art landscapes. Really some great commentary from our watchers on X and YouTube. But I think to me, I think being able to customize the page itself, just is a really necessary thing to make yourself stand out in a very, very crowded space. So what do you guys think, Andrew and Black?
I mean, when I went through it, I just love that they're, like you mentioned about customization and the narrative the storytelling behind it. You have the flexibility to help let it flow from your own personal experience. And it's almost like we get to jump in and experience that with you. And I find that it's very hard. I've to be able to see that in your showcase is extremely powerful from a user experience that I have yet to really experience elsewhere. So Ev, it's an amazing showcase. I think it flows nicely. It's almost like I was there in each of these personal locations that are very close to your heart. And again, I think that is the power of Composer with our art and sharing that with the world. So it was brilliantly executed, and it's really awesome you got to share that with us.
Yeah, thanks so much. I think you hit on the main point really is being able to, add that commentary, tell that story. Your art is not just the JPEG itself. And I think we've come miles in the space in general, but marketplaces are generally these 2D grids of pieces, and we just want to continue to sort of push the bounds on what can be displayed and where the work can come from. Our values, we really don't care about where it's minted, and even eventually what chain it's on and all that. We just want to give you the most flexible way to sell and sort of talk about your work, because there's so much more behind it than just the image itself or the JPEG itself. And so I'm just excited to see sort of how people want to use this. We have so many ideas internally, but for us, it's important to prioritize what people actually want. And so that's why we're just so excited to get this out into the world, to tell people about it, to start showing it and onboard folks, so that we can start to learn, what we can do better and what we can make even more interesting and compelling. And so thanks for having me up here, guys. It was great.
And I was going to add as well, I think something that I love about it is sort of the versatility of content types, where when I was going through and setting up the page for Zeitgeist, that felt like a showcase. And then I was also thinking that, obviously we saw with Andrea's as well, it's almost like that's like an article and like an interview, but you could also have it be specifically just a gallery or a publication, or you could set up everything to kind of flow in a way where it's it could even be like a portfolio or something. Like you could basically use it as a page builder, like anyone would if they've had a basic web design. And that's essentially what it is on the background. It's all like drag and drop and adding new panels and moving it around. And it's simple. It's not like a lot of things to do. It's really simple to utilize. And I mean, I think we set it up in the showcase for Zeitgeist in maybe under an hour, and that included me like writing all the content for it and everything too. So I mean, it really did not take a lot, and that was a lot to put on there. If you look through the page, you would think that it would have taken a lot longer to put it together. And so it was something that's simple, clean, precise, to the point, and very, very flexible. And you can kind of move it around and keep things in a way where you have it's set up almost like a visual hierarchy throughout the page, and have things balanced out, or have grids, or have like full page kind of pop outs on there. The way that we did it with that show is for like the larger piece to the left and the text to the right and things like that. And so I think it's just it's really interesting to see that play out, where in any other marketplace or places where you would go purchase something, you don't have the ability to do that. Everything is super locked into the way that the format that they want things in, which, while creating things in a cohesive way, it also makes everything look the same. And so with this, I think it gives you the versatility to really flex on what it is that you're doing. As you can see, almost like the contrast between like your drop, Ev, and like Zeitgeist, they look completely different. Like they look like they're on different websites almost, because the style is different, the background's different, the layout's different, but it's in the same place and utilize the same platform with the same abilities. And so I think it's just sort of like the best of every world kind of combined and put in together.
Well said. Honestly, very well said. And I think we just want to continue to sort of expand on that flexibility. Again, your art is so much more than a 2D JPEG, and so it's well for curators too, right? Like I think curation has been a theme this year for sure. We've seen tools out there that are really helping curators get exposure and also give exposure to artists. But they're pretty limited in terms of what the curator can actually do. You're not really curating if artists are asking to list in your place. Curation is really about you sourcing and finding the pieces and having a real theme or reason as to why you're including them. And so one other thing I did want to just quickly mention was how sort of seamless the flow is for open calls to showcases, or even stories, right? So in your case, Black, like the Zeitgeist drop, that started as you had a group of artists that you were working with to create work for the drop, and then you opened it up. I think you opened 10 or 15 spots up to other artists, and you ran a open call to do that. And then the process, like, because I helped sort of build the showcase out. The process was so simple because you had the artists already like submitting their work, and basically we were then taking those pieces from the open call, adding them to the showcase, and then boom, you've got a group drop. So we really wanted to like make sure that the open call product and the new showcase and story features were seamless and that they could work well together. And so I think your drop is a testament to that for sure.
I think we tested everything with that one to see what would
We
work. So
definitely did. We definitely did. All right. Well, I'm gonna jump off. Thanks so much, guys, for having me up here. And yeah.
It's great, hearing firsthand exactly from the product. You're always fantastic working with Ev and John, who's in the YouTube chat and answering questions. So, excited to kind of see where Composer continues to build on from the foundation that we have currently. So, customization, gasless minting, being able to invite artists into your showcase, like all of these things, very very useful, and as a testament to kind of where we're at currently with Composer and Black. You got a chance to talk a little bit about Zeitgeist, and we're at the point now where we're gonna talk to our some of our launch partners who joined us today. We appreciate them taking the time to hop on stream and and share their creations with us. But we're actually gonna kick it off with Zeitgeist. So any more juice to squeeze out of the showcase that you all created? What originally started, again, to mention it again, what originally started open call for 22 blew up to 33. So it's pretty impressive how what it became, because I know when we spoke about it, it was just an onslaught of submissions of people just submitting some fantastic artwork.
yeah, I feel like I have this tendency to take something and then make it really just kind of just take it to the next level. Then I'm like, I don't know, is that the last level we could take it to? Maybe we can take it to another level. And then I end up creating this type of a brief. And what was really interesting to me, just to kind of speak on like the show itself for a moment, I think that it was some of the best work I've seen in this space from an open call specifically, because what I found was so I hand curated 12 artists, including myself, for like sort of like the original core group of this, and then ran an open call. As you said, like the final list was 33 artists, and it's just what ended up happening was I put the open call out there, and I knew that the idea behind it, which took me I think maybe like 2 weeks to like really kind of solidify what the concept would be. I knew that I wanted to do something like have a show around the idea of what is now the most contemporary of contemporary. I know there's a bit of irony within that because contemporary essentially means modern anything, anyways. But I think there's something different when it comes to contemporary art and sort of what that means within like the overall kind of landscape of an art community. And I think in our space in Web3, there's so much happening, and there's so many different ways that you could say what is the current thing that's happening right now, or make the next current thing that's happening right now, or comment on the thing that's happening right now. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. And so what ended up happening was I honestly believe that the majority of the work that came through on the open call was created specifically for the open call, which I think a lot of times, and this is neither good or bad, but I think a lot of times with open calls, people say, okay, what do I have that can really fit in that open call, and I'll throw it in there. I mean, I do that as well, but this one, because the idea was so sort of open ended and specific at the same time, and like in a weird kind of balanced way, people really push themselves on kind of taking things to the next level. And I actually had the most shortlisted amount that I've ever had when I went through an open call. And I'm usually really, really tight on stuff. And the problem was I think the brief was really open, but then everyone's work was like so good, so good. I think it was like, I don't know, 30% or something ended up being shortlisted originally. So whatever it was. I can't remember. That feels like a year ago now, even though it was like 2 weeks. But it was just, it really blew my mind. And so what I wanted to do was when I was going through everything on the join side and kind of shortlisting people and really kind of making final decisions, and I had to make the group larger, obviously, because there's just no way I wanted to make sure there was like a lot of diversity of ideas where you have this sort of social commentary that's happening. You have sort of like Web3 culture commentary that happens. You have a lot of like personal commentary of sort of a reflection on something that that you feel personally as an artist, or also sort of a flex on a piece of technology, doing something in a way that you've never done it before. This piece right now that's up on screen by Michelle Thompson is really it's a zeitgeist moment for her, because this is actually the first piece she's ever done utilizing AI. And I think that's something that's like really fascinating too. You know, like you have, and there's a lot of that. Like my piece, as Ev mentioned a little bit ago, was the first. That's the first dynamic piece I've ever done. And so, like, a lot of people stepped outside of their box. DVK, the artist, for example, which is just one above this, his stuff, he's been going in this like crazy detail maxi type of direction, and this is like a pinnacle piece for his work, where if you had you know, a 1000x magnifying glass, you would see like the small, like almost brush strokes within this. Like, it's, the detail is unbelievable. And so this is like a pinnacle piece as a personal journey in a way, in my opinion. So you have all these different things, and some of them, for example, if you scroll down a little bit more, we got 0009's piece that's like a Web3 commentary piece, Year of the Grifter. You know, and so this has like this like mimetic type of ability to it, while also kind of adhering to 09's style and overall kind of message in the space. Got a little shout out to Vandals on there. And so it's just what ended up happening was, as we were going through, and you know, as the core group was creating work, because a lot of the artists, even the ones I just mentioned, were part of the core group, and we spent weeks developing these projects. And what was amazing was you had some artists, as I said, developing projects for, you know, 5 weeks, 6 weeks or something. I think mine was, you know, 5 or 6 weeks. And then you had the other ones who came in for the open call that spent, you know, 4 or 5 days on something. And then we gave them like another week to kind of refine or push to the next level. And so it was something that was really interesting to kind of see the dynamic of how people were working with the idea overall. And then in the background, for me personally, I was trying to figure out how I was going to put it into a showcase, and how we were going to get the drop dynamics operational, and making sure that everything was in place. And you know, we ended up Ev and John and I worked really closely on a lot of stuff with this, to make sure that like, for example, on drop day, I put everything in a very specific order on the page, and then Ev was actually like rotating the work throughout the day, making sure that as we were getting traffic to the page, the work was rotating. And like, we had this ability to make sure that, you know, all the artists and all the art was sort of as diversified in placement as they were in kind of visual aesthetic and messaging. And so it was yeah, I'm really proud of this group that's here. The work is just, every single piece is completely different, and everything is just, it's just, I don't know, I personally keep going back to this page and just going through the work, because I'm like, man, all this is so good. Like, it's, everything is so good. I'm really proud of it, and I think all the artists as well did like an amazing job getting things, you know, on time, and kind of going through the back end. And if we had any hiccups along the way, John and the product team were like super on point. So a huge shout out to them to make sure that any kind of bugs or little things were done, and sort of out of the way, and that sort of thing. And so obviously the product team at Joyn have just been on point with it the whole time. And so yeah, I just want to kind of give a huge shout out to them, the artist, and yeah, it's just been an amazing show so far. I think we're almost to 5 ETH in total sales, which I wouldn't say is like a huge, you know, validation on whether or not you hit a level of success. I personally look at it as the art is art, but kind of being the first large, you know, group drop on Joyn ever, especially in this type of a format, and bringing collectors over to that space, and you know, that's like a hard thing to do. And so I think that I personally look at it as a huge success, and I think that I think we're going to do maybe a space about it tomorrow, by the way, to kind of go through the artists and have some artists speak on it and that sort of thing too. But so yeah.
I mean, this showcase really set the bar really high. It is quality, quality, quality. And we spoke on that earlier, right? That the quality of these showcases is just incredible. With that said, I know Black, you know, it's not the first time you've done a group drop. And I mean, this is, again, congratulations on setting up such a beautiful showcase, and the Joyn team as well. polish the execution, all of it. So now with that said, now that the bar is set really high, right? Now I'm curious to know, do you have any ideas of what the next one is going to look like?
Oh my
Because
God.
I feel like you have to like set the bar even higher and higher, you know? So, but you said that last time in Spaces. And so what's next, you know?
It's funny you should ask that. So I actually have an idea. Some may be aware, but I won first place in Claire Silver's AI contest earlier in the year with the Muse AI bot. And something I was considering doing, and I actually wrote sort of in the description within that open call, which was also hosted on Joyn, by the way. What I wanted to do was there's some updates coming out with like LLMs, blah, 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 long story short. And what I want to do is have a 2.0 version of Muse. And I was thinking about creating a open call that allowed people to utilize Muse AI as a prompt engineer with them and create a piece from that specifically, and then put it into an open call and have a full acceptance open call. And everyone who goes into the open call, whether it be 100 people or 1,000, all get minted to the same contract. And we have just like a massive single multi NFT contract, and that be sort of like the largest. It would be amazing if there was like 1,000, 1,000 NFTs or something within that single contract. That's sort of the kind of gestalt, if you will, of what the idea would be. I haven't really worked out the kinks of it yet. I've got a few other things to do on the actual like Muse AI side, but that's something I was considering doing, and sort of having either a showcase or even it being in a live location that just alternated NFTs sort of forever. Like I like this idea of like perpetual kind of states of things. Like with Luna, for example, it's like a perpetual eternal lunar tracker. Like I like this idea of when you create something on chain, it's going to exist there forever. Why not have it actually act that way too? And so I love that idea, and I think it would be amazing to not curate anyone out of a show. That's like the hardest thing to do. And I think this was the hardest time I've had to do that, especially doing it alone. It's really difficult. And a part of me just wants to have like a huge open, all accepting open call, and everyone gets put onto a single contract. And maybe like there's an additions of that thing or however it would work out, but I'd love to have it kind of associated with some type of charity or some type of nonprofit type of dynamic, or maybe it pays for the installation of this thing somewhere or whatever, however it would work out. You get the idea, but something like that. That's like a huge undertaking. I don't have a timeline or anything, but that's the idea that I've been working on sort of in the background of backgrounds here the last couple of months in my head. So yeah.
Always pushing the boundaries. I love it.
Always pushing the boundaries. But yeah, really exciting stuff. That's Black and Zeitgeist. We have our other launch partners here who are ready to kind of converse. So being conscious, they've been patiently waiting for us. Let's bring up Chikai, and we'll get the ball rolling with our launch partners. So we'll be there in 1 second.
Hello, can you hear me?
How's it going? Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Welcome.
Cool format. Like it's all like the transitions and it's all like professional and like I feel like I'm on stage at some massive sort of event. So this is very cool.
Well, we're happy you're here, and we look forward to chatting with you about your experience with Composer. And I mean, I'm going to jump back even much earlier than that. You've been supporter of Joyn even before it was Joyn, So, but before we kind of jump into that, first of all, thanks for taking the time. And I want to just give you an opportunity just to share more about yourself and about Monolith Gallery. And then maybe sharing more about, what you have done so far in terms of Composer. So in terms of your open call, kind of share more about that.
Sure. My name is Chikai. I've been in the space for a couple of years. As Andrew noted, I've worked with Michael before Joyn was Joyn, which is crazy to see how far it's come. But I started off as a collector. And then eventually went into curation and did a lot of curation on like Super Spaces and Foundation Worlds and Nifty Gateways as a publisher. And then now with Joyn's Composer platform, I think it's great to see how Joyn is innovating in taking curation to the next level. And the key part that I think that I love about it is that one part that I try to do, at least within my curations, is find the narrative, find the story. And then, often you just have a list of pieces that you put in there, and there's very little room to tell story. And so I think that, that aspect of it has been pretty cool to see. It takes a lot of the things that are out there and combines into one, and you can list it on the same platform, which I think is nice to provide that continuity from accepting sort of pieces through an open call to talking about them to eventually listing them. And so, and I think the fact that you can list it from anywhere, it doesn't have to be on your contract, but you can be on their contract or whatever you want. I think that's great for provenance. I mean, it's a way for artists to participate yet maintain control of the provenance. And so I think it's been great. And so eventually curation it led to Monolith Gallery, and I launched that maybe year and a half ago, maybe. It's been a while. It's kind of crazy. And then and then most recently I've sort of delved into AI art. So I love what Black's doing and what his curation. It's definitely a level I aspire to. I am I am like 10 notches below Black, and eventually I'll work my way up the ladder to reach his level of curation and sort of participation. But I think I love what he's doing. I love his collaboration with 0009 and the whole space. There's sort of this blend of artist, curator, and sort of storyteller, sort of a galvanizing point for people to come together and to showcase and use their sort of their audience and their sort of so their reach to help others, which I think is great. And it's done in a way that helps move the space forward, especially AI, which is very much, I think, in its early stages and sort of figuring out its footing within the space. But to go on to the Joyn part, this was the first open call I have ever done for Monolith. I'd never done one before, mainly because I do think it's hard to bring in so many, as Black sort of mentioned, and then having to curate down the pieces. And I think that there's lots that I learned from it. Part of it is it does help to have a theme. People ask about a theme. I always want anybody to go sort of be able to participate, but the theme I think is helpful to sort of focus on a particular area, but I didn't have a particular theme in mind. But it also shows the diversity of works, from landscape to portraiture to composite. In this case, it happened to be AI, which is a very interesting, because I have a very strong AI sort of audience. So I think people submitted, post photography type stuff. So it's kind of this interesting blend of that sort of medium. But it's been amazing, and I'm not sure how I'm going to cut it down. I think the thing I will do is I'm going to try to be as open as I can about my process. And so as I go through and figure it out, I hope to use the story feature to explain my process about how I pick it and sort of get feedback from that as I do it. And so, that's something I'm going to explore doing on the platform, because you can do it. I don't think you can do it on any other platform but Joyn.
Absolutely. And it begs me to ask, what led to like the decision in prioritizing just strictly photography, for example? Because I do recall you mentioning about potentially doing an open call for AI in the future, right? So maybe providing, I'm just a little bit curious about your insight about, the curation process, or maybe the intended approach for your upcoming curations. Because I know I recall seeing some post AI and some post photography in there, right? So I'm a little bit curious about if you have any strategy kind of moving forward with more potential curations.
Yeah, and as the title sort of denotes, this has been an open call for unminted work. And so that came out of conversations of people debating and sort of asking my opinion, or just reaching out and stuff and just seeing it on the TL about whether they should mint something or not, because it is a tough market. And how do you approach that? How do you know what to mint? And photographers especially have a lot of work that they have. And so this is an opportunity to share that work and hopefully find a audience, a collector before they even mint it, and so that they know there's interest within that piece. And I think that's a tough sort of a part of, just, I think, the art business side would say, because I think creation is independent of selling. I think you create because you create, and there's no other reason but to create, and not because you want to sell it or because you're meeting a market demand. It's just you create because you create. And so the other part is, how do you, if and when and how do you sell it? And I think that is a question I think is that we're figuring out. And I think the rules of the game are very different. It's not the same as it was before NFTs came along. And so this sort of a discovery process of how do you do that, and how do you help artists understand what collectors think about when they go through to buy a piece and so forth. So part of this is a transparency exercise for me to sort of show what that's going to be like, from at least from my perspective, which is one of many collectors. And photography, just because I know photographers have a lot of unminted work. And I think that it's a different process and flow to create work as compared to other mediums that are out there. And AI came up because it just, there's a lot of interest. People knew that I was into AI, and there's a lot of submissions in post photography. So I should, it definitely shows demand for that. So I thought I should do a separate one versus saying that this is not for AI, but I'll just do another one for AI.
No, that makes total sense. And I think we already saw in the comments on YouTube as well, as everyone's loving your AI works and their videos. So, so I saw a little shout out there. So, no, I think that's really great, and I appreciate the transparency with that. But no, ultimately, you've been, like I said, it's been a journey. You've been a supporter from the very, very beginning. And I know you touched on a tiny little bit about in terms of the evolution of Joyn and the growth per se. But up to this point in time, can you share maybe a little bit more about that? And then now we're kind of reached to the point with when we have Composer now launching. What has been your favorite part so far about Composer, and kind of like joining in terms of the growth and journey you've had with us from the beginning?
Yeah, so from the current Composer feature, the part that I love the most, and I think it's something that I think we need to do more of and have more tools for. And there's a balance between the tools to create this, but then also give sort of exposure and sort of reach for it, which is storytelling. I think a lot of the sites and creation is just about a list. It's about this sort of set of things, and then you tell a story on on Twitter or somewhere else. But this combines it all into one place. You can gather the people, and I love that sort of integration where you can sort of reply to a tweet and it automatically adds it in, which is great to sort of that connection with Twitter, but then go through a storytelling process and then eventually to a selling process. And so that continuity, I think, is huge. And I think the core part that drives all of it, I think, seems to be in that is the storytelling. And I think that's such a key part, because for me to be able to, as I think about curation, the one thing I think about, especially for one like this, is what's my story? How do I tell the story? And the reason I tell the story is because it tells why I picked it and what I'm thinking about. And so when you think about it, it's not like, here are the top three, here are my three favorites, and that's it. It's like, here is what I'm trying to pull through and why I pull these together. And that story helps people understand why they were selected. And so I like that narrative, and it's a part that I need more of, I think, within the space.
I couldn't agree more, to be honest. It's been a very hot, like, just the word storytelling has been, that's all I've been hearing these days. And I'd love to hear that is one of the favorite things that you love about Composer, because it certainly is mine. And I know we've touched on it throughout this live stream from the very beginning. So I think that's a win for us in a lot of ways. So appreciate taking the time, Chi-Kai. And I look forward to seeing who you select from the open call, and just see the direction you go with your story, because my curiosity is piqued at this point. So yeah, I'm not gonna throw out, when we're gonna find out is, like, I think in the end of the day, the storytelling, it's kind of time on its own, right? It takes time for that to build. So I'm not gonna say, when are we gonna find out? Because I know artists get really excited about that. But I think in the end, like, storytelling has its own timeline, right? So very much looking forward to seeing your first one, because it's the first one, right? So it's going to be
Yeah,
awesome.
it's such a, I don't know, I'm excited, but I'm also a bit daunted about how to select because it's so much good stuff out there, and it really is like it's hard. It's like it's not like who's best or not. It's really is something a different sort of rubric to solve. It's not like a contest or was the first, second, third place. So at least for me, I mean, there could be ones of that nature, but at least I lean toward wanting to do something that fits a narrative and that there's a context by which these are selected. And there are other ones that are very much about contests, which I think, you know, like the stuff that Claire's doing is great, and Black winning is awesome. I mean, makes sense. I mean, not only does his art, but his coding and everything else is pretty amazing. So
You're like over here flattering me, man. You're like a minute ago, you're like, yeah, I really look up to Black. I'm like, you look up to me, dude. I'm looking up to you. Wait, what's going on? How does this work? No, I appreciate all the kind words. And curation is like a complete. It's an art form in itself, and it's really intense sometimes. And like when you get down to like the final numbers, when there's like 10 left that you need to cut, you're like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. This is impossible. But no, it's a crazy process. I love everything that you're doing in this space as well, and I definitely look forward to seeing how the show wraps up and seeing who you choose. If you need a second pair of eyeballs, let me know.
I may ask you, but I think that the open call is so different though. It's like it's because it's anybody can come in where I do the reverse. So I'm watching the whole space and then picking artists one by one. So my process for Monolith has been just watching the whole space, and then most of my curation is done through conversation. So if the conversation continues and engage, then I'll invite them and do something within Monolith. And so it's a very different approach than I've done previously. Where when open call, it's like there's so much good stuff, and like, am I the best person to give them to showcase their work in the best way possible? Because some people are incredibly knowledgeable about collage or AI or photography or, you know, traditional painting. And am I the best vehicle? Am I the best spokesperson for this artist? And so there's a bit of a match also, because you're here, at least in my mind, in service of them. You're trying to help them. You're trying to provide and use the tools and the assets that you have to help these artists. And so am I the right person to do that? And so that's a little bit of a question I'll be going through, and hopefully I can tell a story of that as I use the stories feature.
We certainly have no doubt that you'll be up to the challenges. And I mean, curation is tough, but we know that you're gonna do an amazing job, and we're really excited to see what you create in the next cycle of the full curation cycle from open call to story. So thank you again, Shikai, for taking the time to be with us live here on this live stream to share our success with Composer, with sharing your experience with it and what you love about it so much. We really appreciate that very, very much.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. It's been great to be on, and thanks for slotting me a little earlier since I have to go take my son to a camp in a little bit.
For sure. Appreciate it, Chikai. Thank you so much again for joining. And yeah, excited to see the story and showcase progress from the open call. All right.
Great.
Oof, the star power, the caliber of our guests today, our launch partners, you know, they really showed out on Composer. You just I just can't believe, like, you know, when you first see Composer, and like any kind of drag and drop tool, it's the blank slate kind of approach of like, oh man, look, I got this whole kind of process ahead of me of what am I going to create, what is it going to kind of look like as I progress on my journey of creating what I'm thinking in my head. And then just, man, zeitgeist, the open call, the submissions, our next guest, Sloika, Strange History, Alternate Realities, like, and Transient Labs title, like these are all just like a great representation of the capabilities of Composer. Really quickly, again, appreciate for those of you who are still with us live on YouTube and X. Favorite text, hi everyone. Diana, I'm loving the conversation today. We're loving the conversation today as well. So, you know, without further ado, we're gonna bring up Ev from Sloika. not our Ev. There's another Ev. You know, the Evs are uniting here today on the live stream. So we'll flip it over and we'll bring Ev on.
Hey, everyone.
Ev, hello. How's it going?
It's going well. Yeah, thanks for having me. It's the first two letters that are matching. The rest is different.
Yeah.
Between the other F and this F. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we really appreciate you, of course, taking the time to hop on the live stream. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Sloika, you know, where you guys are at right now at this time, and you know, we'll kind of dig into this story that y'all created, Strange History, Alternate Realities.
Yeah, well, I guess, first thing, I'm in the same city as most of the Joyn team, so that was a very nice and pleasant surprise. It always helps to mingle a little bit better and more in person. So that was a very, very nice little chat that I had with the team. But we started Sloika as a company about 2.5 years ago, even though I've been in crypto for God knows how many, 11 years, 10 years, something like that. It's a bit of a bumpy ride, as you can imagine. And with Sloika, we wanted to build a marketplace that respects the photographer, that respects the artist. And the way we've done this, again, like in the early days, with the fully prominent smart contract for the creator, in the days before that became common. Obviously, it was like Manifold and other tools that became common later on. And we pushed for specific things that photographers need and want. And kind of like the reason for this is myself and my co-founder, we've been building photo related services for about 20 years. And we are kind of like in the community of photographers. We just want to hear them. We want to know what's happening. And as we progressed throughout the last 2 years, we realized the market is obviously, can go up and down. So it can get tricky at times. And we realized that the artists need our support as much as ever, and we wanted to provide them with that, especially since over the years we have some good connections with the other marketplaces in the in the area of Web3, I would say, like Foundation, like Manifold, like SuperAir, Zora, and a whole bunch of others. And that gives us a bit of power to help artists get seen as much as possible. So we would work with those marketplaces, but also to give them some physical exposure, which is very important for artists. I think it's just kind of like mingling part. I don't know, it's a social part to go to a place to see the art, and so we've been part of some of those exhibits as well. And as we progressed, we realized that hey, what we're doing was it's photography focused, and we want to keep it this way. But we also have great access to tools, including Joyn, but also including Foundation and SuperAir, Nifty Gateway, where we can use the tools that those companies have built to help the artist get seen. And so when I don't know how it happened, but with Joyn, I looked up, we've done 11 open calls. There's been a lot of open calls that we've done. And we've been using those open calls to highlight the artists that normally are not going to get highlighted. So if you're on the regular platform, you see kind of same names over and over and over again. I love those artists, but it gets a little boring. So we kind of thought, what, we need to close our eyes on so-called the top 10, top 5 artists, and actually dig deeper and look and give a helping hand to artists that are not getting the light of day. And so from the early days, we've been doing with the open calls, we've been trying to do that. And lately, like what you're showing on the screen, we realized that we have an access to what's called a SuperAir space. So it's an independent gallery that's hosted on SuperRare, which allows us to kind of like expedite some of the artists on SuperRare that we think are cool and original and have an interesting story to tell. So we've been doing that, but also realized that, hey, our curation is a little bit like gatekeeping. So we don't want to be gatekeepers that still hold people from that. So we gave the keys to the castle, so to say, to 5 independent curators that have the full power and privilege. And one of those is Historic Crypto, that's been putting together this exhibit that and writing actually the text for this that we've been publishing for the exhibit called Strange History, Alternate Realities. And it's a massive project. It is insane how detailed that is. So the artists would use AI, but they would envision kind of like a fork in the road for an alternate history. So something that happened that didn't happen, or something that happened, it happened different way. And there are stories that are, there's some obviously historic references that I was not aware or still not aware. So like it kind of requires to dig really deep into this. But everybody did an awesome job and kind of like getting to know these people, getting to know the timelines that are very interesting to them, and the way they would describe them, the way their process is, was pretty fantastic. And so we wanted to highlight, we've done a few galleries in the Composer, but we wanted to highlight specifically this was a story, just kind of like giving that opportunity to the artist. Again, many of them are new to the space. There's like, there's some like Black that is part of this Strange History. So thank you, Black, for being part of this. It's fantastic.
It's my honor. This is a crazy show. I'm so stoked that sort of worlds ironically kind of collided and overlapped with all of this happening, especially right now as we talk about it. But yeah, it's amazing. Such an incredible thing to see so much storytelling happening and all that to be supported by you all and Joyn, and then you have Super Rare and like all of it kind of coming together at this sort of massive thing. It's crazy.
Yeah, thanks, Black, for that. And yeah, so Historic Crypto is the curator for that. And we're basically trying to, when we started doing this ourselves, when we started to do open calls ourselves, we quickly, I had a call with Joyn team and quickly started using Joyn because it was overwhelming to use, then Twitter and now X, to basically curate all of this. So Joyn was an absolutely essential tool to switch over and use that for our curation purposes. Because for a lot of open calls, we would be getting anywhere between 300 and 700 entries. It's a lot. It's, shortlisting and curating and narrowing down to like top, 20 or 30. Oh my God, that is hard, because you also want to give the moment of your time to people who took the time of their day to also submit their images to open call. I assume that they also do the work of reading the descriptions, making sure that it's as presentable as possible, putting effort in their art. So we want to give the same respect to the curation process. And we realized that that takes a lot of time. So we learned from that, and we're using that to decentralize that as much as possible. I think it's pretty close to the mission, what you guys are building with Composer, to make sure that the curation and presentation can be decentralized, that it can be, anyone can be a curator, anyone can basically put together a nice gallery that looks awesome, that has a specific theme. And realizing that, that's why we use so many different tools. That's why we try to give keys to like our castle and our castles that we have as fast as possible, to give a chance at that to as many people as possible. So,
well, I'm invested. I love a good story. I think like the graphic, the image posted right now, the asset. I'm a big Interstellar, World of Worlds kind of person. So, really cool, stories and the pieces featured in alternate realities, of course.
And if I may, so one of the coolest things is that there are specific timelines for every single artist, and the timelines are kind of like sustainable. So it's not like three separate images that are submitted, but they are a part of the same alternative history timeline. And the coolest part is that it basically represents a new IP. So they found a specific kind of like point in time in our version of universe, and then said, well, it's now going to go a different way. And so a new chunk of IP is created, and the talks between the artists is that they will actually continue to develop that. So you can take a specific um, storyline and basically keep going with that, in the past or in present and in future, in different locations, and basically make it. Well, we've been joking that maybe HBO would be interested in some of those, but it is kind of like. I think that this is similar to what Black was trying to do with his curation, is that you can infuse it with more meaning, and you can make that basically timeless and continuous. And so it's important, and I think we just have to be a little patient, give it like a few years to see where it will actually end up, and how artists will envision that, and whether other artists will be interested in the same kind of like IP in the same storyline to develop it further. So it's nice that it's open. It's really cool that others can participate, and by the stuff that we do with the stories, with composer, with the galleries, is basically to encourage others to be motivated as much as possible to actually like go and do something either with us or on their own, but just like bring more art into this world. And we're here for it.
Yeah, I think it's always a pleasure seeing what kind of Slicker brings to Joyn in terms of the open calls, and now with stories and showcases, giving the opportunity to, new sets of artists, and not just concentrating on, the same typical group that we typically see. But I don't know why HBO wouldn't want to hop into the alternate realities and take a couple of these ideas. There's some really good storytelling here, and I'm excited to follow along as the stories kind of roll in for this art exhibit launching on Super Rare, who launched on Super Rare August 11th. So really, really fantastic stuff. But yeah, we appreciate you taking the time, and I know Sloika is one of those long time partners of Joyn, and we really do appreciate y'all continuing to create with us and on our platform.
I appreciate it for having me. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, for sure. All right, take care, Evan. Appreciate it. When it's so interesting to see where the capabilities of story comes into play, because showcases, your typical drop, solo drop, you bring artists together and you do solo drop. You're concentrated on showcasing your best work and finding collectors. With stories, man, it's just an entry gate to just so many different possibilities. And I think Sloika, alternate reality, strange history, they really kind of just ran with it. Just reading back and looking back at that story in particular, just so many cool ideas. And again, I'm fanboying because I'm a really big fan of that kind of content. I'm seeing UFOs, I'm seeing aliens. I'm hoping they touch down any day, any week now. So I'm really excited to see where that kind of story unfolds. I'm interested in kind of hearing where you guys are at in terms of the story capability of composing.
I think it goes to sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think it kind of goes back to what I said earlier about how versatile everything is, because it's not just one thing and one path. The platform itself, I mean, it's something that allows a lot of people to do a lot of different things in a similar way, and that to me is what makes it so valuable. And the people that have spoken so far here, you can really see that versatility start to play out. And with Sloika having so many different types of open calls for different purposes, I think that's like an absolute prime example for how much you can use the platform to do different types of things with different storytelling narratives and filters or themes or whatever for open calls and contests and everything else. And I think it just really plays well to being almost like a sandbox with not a lot of, details to really fill out, but it's just ease of use and be able to be, kind of move quickly and just get stuff done.
I mean, you said it. You hit the nail on there, Black. I mean, ultimately, all I can really say, just to feed off of from both of you, is that there's so many use cases, so many different ways of how you can utilize stories, and we've seen that clearly. And there's probably going to be more examples or other ideas of how others are going to use stories that we're not even thinking about right now. It's going to blow our minds, and I mean, these are already blowing my mind. It's super inspiring, and I mean, I just can't wait to see more rolling in. But Ev, for Strange History, for many of the other stories that we have with our partners, it's just great quality, amazing stories. So that's really all I have to say about that. I mean, we're going to have more roll in, and it's just going to continue to just expand. And
you say roll in kind of reminds me of a tidal wave, tidal transient labs are we say the best for last, of course, are one of our launch partners, and our, thanks again for all of our launch partners who joined us today. But yeah, let's bring in Transient Labs. Let's see what's cooking in the lab. Hello, hey David, hey Merv, how's it going?
How's
It's been great.
Good to see you all. It's been fun to listen and just watch Joyn from the beginning, start and see where you guys are at now. And it's been an awesome partnership, and excited to chat more about the Composer app.
Yeah, for sure. I think we've been working really, really closely together on a few things that will kind of roll out in the next couple of months. But yeah, title by Transient Labs. Why don't you guys tell us a little bit about Transient?
Yeah, so Transient Labs, we're a Web3 innovation platform. So we started as people typically knew us as, oh, they do cool dynamic artworks that changes based on the time of day or the price of ETH. I met Ben and Marco while I was at Super Rare for a few years. Ben was an artist building amazing tools and photography, and it just kind of blew my mind. Fast forward, we realized that we wanted to build a product, a no-code solution that allows all creators to leverage these like smart contract innovations. So that's where we're at now, is we now have about 100 artists leveraging these self-service tools. We are all about giving the artist control and decide where they want to showcase their work, sell their work, and just really give them the ability to create and build their own, like essentially a business. So how we started talking with Joyn was I saw they were doing you guys did an amazing job of just like taking what's happening on Twitter and giving artists the abilities and platforms and collectors the ability to share art. And then we've been talking just about how do we bring these innovative smart contracts and tools to the one thing we're lacking, or is just where does the artist showcase their work, sell their work. And it was just amazing timing that you guys are building this out, and Merv can talk about what we've done on the Composer side.
You're muted, Merv. Oh, it's okay.
Okay. So hi everyone, and thanks David for the information. So working on title is a bit kind of hard for me because this is the first time that we do an open call for Transient, and there was 543 entries, and I started when we started the open call because I knew that it will be so hard to, like, if I like put it in the last minute, it will be like impossible. And I shortlisted almost 70 of them, and me and Daniel, my colleague, we did the curation together. And I said to Daniel, please help me, because it's kind of impossible to choose. The entries were awesome. And then I wanted to do, and Daniel chooses, we put together, and I wanted to do our showcase shows what is storytelling in terms of our implementation. And it was the best place to show what are we doing and with the works together, because the best thing I like it about the showcases, you can add any piece you wanted. It shouldn't be even listed, or like it can be sold. That's awesome. And we can add some texts, or like even some of the pictures that we like, because it feels like article for like your showcase. That was the like what catches me. And I just wanted to especially thanks to the Eve and Alexandra. They helped me like live. So that was the best experience I ever get in the world. And I try to show the works in some color order, so that people can can kind of track with their eyes, and they don't get just like, so what is that? So I wanted to like the kind of coherence in the whole showcase. Also, with Daniel, we wanted to include we wanted to do the divergent showcase, where we have AIs, we have photos, we have videos, we have video AIs. So that was the most important thing that we show. And some of the artists are very big, and some of the emergent one. So it was really good to that we put together in one place. Yes.
I think whenever I see a transient open call go up, I know that if I refresh in the next 10 minutes, there's going to be over 100 submissions. You guys, the turnout for your open calls it's insane. And I could attest to it being very difficult of having to choose, especially in title. At least was only 10 out of probably so many submissions. And I'll ask my co-host here, Andrea and Black, the curation process part of a Joyn open call is just probably the hardest part.
Yes.
Like, yes, it's fun to do the open call, and the expectation like, wow, I hope people submit. But for you guys, it's like, we got so many, like, how are we gonna do this? But yeah, on that note,
And in the meantime, always Alexander wrote me that, Mar, I can help you about all the procedure, all the process. Just be calm, no worries. Maybe you should start earlier. I'm so glad that I listened to her. And if I left it in the like last minute thing, we couldn't make it.
yeah, shout out to Alex, partnership lead, and Ev, our product lead. They really do hop in and help our partners, especially our launch partners for Composer, to really get set up for success. But again, in the case of our launch partners and transients in general, you guys. Yeah, over like almost the point is like overwhelming amount of submissions and for your open call. So again, I think Title is a fantastic curation of the best art that was submitted for it. Really, really great. I do see the kind of the placement of where the pieces went into the showcase. Nothing. It's a really great seamless way, a really nice condensed showcase being shown here on screen.
Yeah,
And the most important thing. Sorry, Andrea, go on.
No. Go ahead.
I was going to say I think what from the business development side, looking back, like in what this has done is it allows us, we're a small team building a product like creator tools. So having a partner like Joyn that has created an easy, no code, simple way, whether you're an artist, curator, a platform, being able to have a place for our creations to live and be showcased and tell the story of, like, I think that's the biggest thing. Like, why does art ever sell or resonate with somebody? And you guys did a good job of like making it super easy for us to plug in, integrate our contracts. And I see how there can be a very easy collaboration where we're going to have like sub transient lab curators creating their own composers. So kudos to all of y'all.
Yeah, I was gonna mentioning that. So I mean, yeah, maybe onboarding. So we select 10 people and we onboarded to the lab. By the way, I onboarded everyone in one day. It was kind of like crazy thing to do. But besides that, the most important thing, there were some issues while listing, but Eve, thank you. I mean, he solved everything in a moment, and like artists came to me and say that, so we are trying to list, but it's not working, and I'm going to Eve. Eve, can you help us? And just like he solved just like a magic. The whole like the pipeline was amazing. I mean, yeah. I mean, congrats for everyone.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate the kind words. And Ev, I know he's listening in, and always puts in the effort to really just the problem solver and solving these issues for our launch partners. But I think a really powerful comment here: the lab, composer, both no code tools, and I think the importance of the usability of something like that in a space where a lot can go wrong if you do it manually, or if you don't have the kind of like the skill set to troubleshoot or debug what you're trying to attempt to do on chain or in general Web3. Both the lab and composer utilizing the full power of no code. I'm a big no code fan. As a computer scientist, programming and going into the depths of syntax and, looking at the screen and trying to figure out what went wrong. No code tools are always very, very welcome to kind of execute on these things, because, nobody wants to rewrite the same code over and over and over. So, no code is for sure really important as we move to, adopting mass adoption and getting more people into the space and helping them just create. And then, Tidal is a perfect kind of showcase to show like a really small, intimate set of art so people can collect and showcase the power of the lab and composer together.
Thank you, Miguel, so much.
Yeah, I'm excited. I guess in the future, as we keep developing, as long as artists keep coming up with crazy ideas, we're going to be here to keep developing them. And I know we have plans to maybe use a composer, the tool, and integrate some of these smart contract innovations. And then we could do like a curated release with some of these. So the opportunities are endless now that the base is there and we're both growing together. And super exciting.
Yeah, for sure. And growing together, and we'll continue to collaborate on these kind of initiatives as we continue to build out the lab and composer. And I know Andrew, you wanted to kind of touch on something here.
I just wanted to comment like to both of you. You did such an amazing job with this curation. I mean, the word title, I think is brilliant and perfect. The way that, like, when I was going and flowing through the showcase, like, I'm trying to use some verbiage here because like that's really what I felt like. I was going through water and I felt the vulnerability coming through in each of those pieces in a perfect tidal wave. It was such an authentic user experience that it was honestly so beautiful. Like the fusion of the art and with the lab, like it was just so powerful. And I just wanted to express that to both of you. I know curation's not easy at all, but you're certainly executed and polished such a beautiful showcase. So I just wanted to share that
Thank
with both of
you.
you. And I just wanted to quickly say, no, one of the pieces in there, like it really struck me. It was called Can't Remember Your Face Anymore. And that to me really encapsulates what I perceive as a core element and what's really absent in the space right now. It's like really thinking about that storytelling aspect, like the artist wants to be seen. And that just like, it just blew me away. So again, just want to congratulate to both of you for an amazing curation and really putting it so poetically and so beautifully in our showcase feature. And composer, thank you to both of you. It was a great experience to go through that as an artist myself. It was beautiful.
Thank you, Andrea. I appreciate it. You made me blush. I cannot talk.
I can't take any of the curation experience, but I'm glad Merv and Daniel and my team crushed it. So thank you, Merv.
Yeah, for sure. As always, Transient Labs always crushes anything that they create on Joyn. We're excited to see kind of what comes out of the lab and, the continuation of the growth of the smart contract platform you guys are building. So appreciate you guys coming on.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much. Yes.
For sure.
That's
All
our
right, guys.
pleasure.
Appreciate it. Bye. I wasn't kidding. Like Transient Labs, if you know the date of the open call and you refresh in the first 15, the submission rate is kind of insane. It's pretty crazy. Always impressive seeing and working alongside Transient Labs. Fantastic title. I think was a really nice, intimate, small showcase of the artists that they curated and picked. Really great stuff here. But really quickly, I wanna shout out to a few people who have been with us, leaving comments. Chris, is beautiful to hear. A lot of beautiful things being said today throughout our live stream. I see Maheen out in X leaving comments, and Ev again from Sloika left a comment, a post on X. So it was fantastic having our launch partners just like speaking on Composer. Look, we didn't tell them what to say. We didn't tell them what to say, so don't think that we told them that they had to say what they did. It's just a testament to the ease of use of Composer. Black. We pulled Black again out of the depths of the metaverse, and he's joining us on our live stream. And the two of you, I think a common theme amongst our launch partners was just that you go from an open call to a story, kind of you want to note your journey. You want to tell everybody what you just went through, because it's like, how can I not tell the story of getting so many submissions or having the task of picking people out of like thousands? You kind of want to tell them like, your art was great, but I had to like dwindle it down to these people for some reason. So you have a chance to explain your thought process, and then the showcase just like the fruits of your labor of just going through everything that you created on Joyn and on platform. But I'll let you guys kind of add in here.
Yeah, I think something that Jakai was talking about was, sort of like he was questioning whether or not, am I the person to really be making these choices? And I think that the absolute answer is yes. Like, I think if you're running it, obviously you are. I think, literally you are. But I think figuratively and sort of philosophically, it is an art in itself. And because of that, you are kind of this, curator artist in a way. And it's sort of, what it is you put together has to kind of fit something. And I actually think about it, one of the very first time, I think when we did the Latent Dream show earlier in the year, which was hosted on Joyn as well, I went through and I even ended up like kind of screenshotting everyone that was in my short list and just moved them around my desktop to kind of have the feeling of like which ones worked together and which ones don't. And I felt like I was almost collaging a curation together in a way, because you had to kind of think about how things are going to look next to each other and what screen is that. And that was for the NFT NYC. And so, what screen was this going to be on, and how is this going to play next to this one? And like, you think about all these elements when you're doing it. And it's not just, picking favorites or be like, oh, this one's better than that one. It's significantly more complex. I almost wish it was that easy. Like, oh, this is better, so I'll go with that one. But it's so much more complex than that. Then I think the other thing is that when we do these open calls, there's this idea that everyone kind of has to be on this like equal playing field too. Like I've talked to Evan John about this too. Like I almost want to have an anonymous curation kind of toggle or something, so that I don't even see artist names in a way. I think that'd be kind of interesting to see. But in general, like what the ability that Joyn allows is that everyone has the opportunity to jump in and get into these open calls, and so you have this level playing field for everyone to come in and do that. And the art allows, or the platform allows the art, I should say, rather, to speak for itself. And the way that you go through it, and you're able to add shortlisting, and then even taking it to what we're launching here now with Composer is you have the ability to then take what you've done there in that open call, which is what everyone's familiar with already. And that, everyone, I say everyone, but I assume at this point, everyone's familiar with that. And then you just move it over to a showcase, or you move it over to a publication, or to a group drop, or whatever. And it literally, everything is just there. As Ev was showing earlier, everything's just there. And one of the things, when I talk to people about Joyn, maybe some people only know about Joyn from being on Twitter and like submitting stuff to a Twitter feed or comments. And then they go log in for the first time and they see everything already being there. And this is sort of a theme that I see a lot. I know, Miguel, we kind of joked about it before, of just like, Joyn, you're already here. Like, join us, you're already here, whether you're here or not. And so everything is already there. You have this almost like a provenance, so to speak, of the work that you've submitted to open calls and everything else. Well, now you have the ability to get offers on that stuff and be able to put it into actual shows and have curated group drops and like all this stuff, where I think when you go to a lot of these other platforms or kind of consolidation type places, after you set things up, the question is like, well, now what do I do? Well, here there's like 20 different things you can go do right now if you have with the same thing that you've already had there already, and it's already there. And so it ends up adding a lot of opportunity. I believe it adds a lot of empowerment to artists in the space. I've been really talking about it just because I love it so much, and I think there's just so much opportunity there. So yeah, I've been really excited about it. I'm so happy to see a lot of it come to fruition, and especially hearing from the other partners here today about how it actually added to what they had going on and added value to their people and their artists and that sort of thing too. So it's just fantastic.
Yeah, I think powerful. There's no blockers here for on Joyn. So whatever you kind of have in thought for what you want to create and a showcase or story, we're always available to kind of help. And the tool set of Composer and the capability of it, it's fantastic. I think our launch partners really showcase the capabilities with where we're at now. This is where we're at now. Like, imagine, as we continue to kind of build out the rest of the feature set and some of the other things that we have in the funnel for Composer, it's just only going to get stronger. And on that note, you wanna use Composer? I know we had to have inspired you in somewhere, kind of sparked the fire in you. You could get Composer early access on Joyn. You joyn.xyz/composer. Read through it. Beautiful landing page. Again, shout out to our product. Shout out to the dev team, of course. Behind the scenes working on what everything is capable on Composer. So that's there. Joyn.xyz/composer. Visit the landing page. Fill out the form, get early access, and we'll kind of help you on your journey to creating everything that you've seen plus more. But yeah, continuing the conversation of Composer in general, it's at the fingertips of what the possibilities are. So we want to make it clear that it's as simple as our launch partners kind of really talked on. You need kind of a platform to source art and find the diamond in the rough, like Black kind of hit on it, that you want to maybe at some point we could hide the names, and it's like an anonymous curation of people you don't know. But there's also that like shining moment of like, well, who are you? You just completely came out of nowhere, out of my circle. It was like randomly creating this fantastic art. You look through the portfolio and you see like so much other of their fantastic work, and other like moments like that Joyn kind of really helps bring to you in terms of the capabilities of the platform.
I'm really seeing a trend here of like there's like an orchestration of like a really harmonious integration with our curators, artists, and their experiences. And I really feel like Composer is really fostering like a unified, cohesive, like immersive experience. You know what I mean? Like it's just it resonates. I think it's gonna resonate if it hasn't already. Like I mean, hell, like I think I can tell by how our live stream has gone today, from what we've heard from everyone on YouTube, on Twitter, from our partners, like to know that it's deeply resonating with a diverse audience and we're really cultivating like emotional intellectual growth on top of that, I think is really, really powerful. So I'm seeing a unity here with everyone, and that it's Composer, like anyone can use it. It's a very inclusive, we're really fostering that inclusive environment that we talked about as Joyn from the very, very beginning.
Yeah, for sure. I think a fantastic day for sure. A fantastic week overall for the excitement of the team internally at Joyn of the launch of Composer. August 7th is that kind of really really big pivoting point of the kind of we're here moment. We're ready to kind of really collaborate with everyone and on ideas and just in general the Web3 space and community that we have more to offer alongside our open call capabilities, the power of stories and the narratives, and showcasing your kind of the inside of your mind, the workings of your mind, documenting it, and then showcases, bringing everyone together for really showcase a big drop. Collecting the art, collectors being able to come on and just indulge in all the content. Closing words for us. I'll kick it off. I think again, just to start, we'll be back. We'll be back, of course, with more live streams as the weeks kind of go by. Any new updates for Composer? We'll have more artists, more launch partners throughout the weeks too that'll come on to the live stream and kind of talk to us about what they created and all the content that they're kind of looking forward to creating in the future. And then more, we'll just keep bringing more. We're excited to come back and speak to everyone who. Thank you all for those who joined us today throughout the live stream, left comments on X and YouTube. And if you're not already, follow us on X and Instagram. We're at JoynXYZ. We post content updates and we pretty much the know-how of Joyn, and it goes on to X and Instagram. So follow us there. And then again, if you want to get early access on Joyn, joyn.xyz/composer. Get that early access to Composer, and we'll kind of walk you through what to expect and get you the launch pad for what you saw, what was created today from our launch partners. And I'll let closing words from my co-host Black and Andrea.
Really appreciate it. This has been an amazing show, and I was so stoked to just hear everyone talk about how it affected them and how they utilize it to the best of their advantage. And I just honestly can't wait to see how this plays out in the future. I love the sort of chain agnostic type of approach and the equal playing field for everyone, open opportunity, artist empowerment. I mean, I'm all about it. So yeah, it's been amazing.
Black, you always hit it on the nail. I always have to try and top you, and I can never succeed with that. But all I got to say is that I'm going to use your line. The Composer is a game changer. It is a huge game changer. I'm so proud of the Joyn team, our launch partners. There was a lot of hard work that was put into this, and we're not going to stop anytime soon. We're going to keep going, and I feel the exact same way. You can tell the power of Composer, and just the storytelling is extremely, extremely powerful. I look forward to seeing what more comes out of this, and I appreciate being along for the ride with the team.
All right,
go.
so let's go. We gotta put Black back into the depths of the metaverse, into that dark corner that he delves in with the rest of everything going on. Again, Zeitgeist is on Composer. Everything that you saw today from our launch partners, Joyn.xyz, Explore. It's all there. Explore some of the other kind of galleries, showcases, stories, open calls that's happening on Joyn. Create your account, get started, get early access to Composer, of course. Joyn.xyz/composer. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Appreciate y'all for joining us.
See ya.